Hello there, Calling Up community. Welcome to part two of Abled and Disabled. A few pieces of vocabulary. So we have reviewed identifying as disabled, the medical industrial complex, the medical model of disability, the social model of disability, and I would now like to talk a little bit about disability rights and disability justice. So I'm going to read an excerpt from Skin and Tooth and Bone, The Basis of Movement is Our People, a Disability Justice Primer that was created by Sins Invalid, a collective of amazing disabled artists. The voices that are represented in this amazing resource are incredibly useful. I highly recommend you get your hands on this. You can go to their website. I will leave a link below. So, disability rights is not the same as disability justice, and we are using a justice-based framework in our practice. So I'm going to read a small excerpt out of this. The U.S. disability rights movement established civil rights for people with disabilities. Like other movements, the current disability rights movement includes advocacy organizations, service provision agencies, constituency-led centers, membership-based national organizations, as well as cultural and academic spaces. And like many movements, it is contextualized within its time and left us with cliffhangers. It is one strategy of many needed to combat ableism. It is single-issue identity-based. Its leadership has historically centered white experiences. Its framework leaves out other forms of oppression and the ways in which privilege is leveraged at differing times and for various purposes. It centers people with mobility impairments, marginalizing other forms of impairment. At its core, it centers people who can achieve rights and access through a legal or rights-based framework, which we know is not possible for many disabled people or appropriate for all situations. So, I'm looking at this to see who edited this section. David Langstaff. This section here was created by Patty Byrne, Executive Director of Sins Invalid, and was supported by Stacy Milburn, Aurora Levins-Morales, and David Longstaff. Now, I share this, and I think I'm also going to share another section in this, because our community is not homogenous. So there's disagreement about what are the right words to use. So I'm about to spill a little tea and share a little bit from our community. So, in this, we also have the 10 Principles of Disability Justice. It comes in a super cute, large, beautiful thing that you can have on your wall, a poster, but I'm just going to read one of the definitions. Now, out of these, we've got intersectionality, leadership of those most impacted, anti-capitalist politic, cross-movement solidarity, recognizing wholeness, sustainability, interdependence, collective access, and collective liberation. And the one I want to talk about is a commitment to cross-disability solidarity. We value and honor the insights and participation of all of our community members. We are committed to breaking down ableist, patriarchal, racist, classed isolation between people with physical impairments, people who identify as sick or as chronically ill, psych survivors and those who identify as crazy, neurodiverse people, people with cognitive impairments, and people who are of a sensory minority, as we understand that isolation ultimately undermines collective liberation. So, we use these terms because we are working for a collective liberation. So we've talked about why I personally am using the term disabled, because it's referring to those of us who are disabled by society. We're not talking about a physical impairment that our body has. We're talking about being disabled. Abled is the term I prefer to able-bodied. Now, in our community, there's a little differing opinion. Some of us do not like the term able-bodied because we feel that it is erasing. And I shouldn't say we, because I actually don't subscribe to this particular one, even though I can recognize the truth that it holds. So the critique is able-bodied erases the experience of those who are from the neurodiverse community or others who might have invisible disabilities. I don't agree with this only because my brain is a part of my body. It's all my body, right? So if I agree to segregate different pieces of my body, I'm actually just agreeing to what the companies who charge money for my health care want me to identify myself as. And really, I don't even think it's the medical industrial complex who's forcing those definitions on it. It's more the insurance industrial complex that's forcing us to differentiate teeth health and brain health and body health. It's all the same body. That said, I still don't think able-bodied is a good term. Abled is better. Why? I prefer it for the same reason I prefer black. I do not prefer to use the term African American because it's longer. It requires me to capitalize terms and use a hyphen. It also requires me to center some kind of nationalist identity that actually brings me out of alignment with others who I am in community with. So my brothers and sisters in the Caribbean islands that I'm literally related to, we are part of the same community. And if we call ourselves black, it makes it a little easier for us to connect and communicate with each other. I like black. It's easier to say. It's shorter. I love it. It's got that percussive K at the end. Black. I prefer abled because it doesn't have a hyphen and it's shorter. It's easier to tweet. And also, it's more accurate. It more accurately refers to those of us in the communities that are being enabled to be functional. I would argue that years and years and years ago, to have an astigmatism was to be disabled by society, both physically, an inability to see, but also even if you were able to get the assistive device of glasses, you were then stigmatized by society. Today, I don't think that's the case. I believe that we are enabling people who need to wear glasses to actually be fully enabled in almost all spaces. Hey, society, progress! And that means that we can make progress elsewhere. So I hope that these terms and definitions are useful for your future progress in creating the circumstances to have justice, outcomes of justice for everyone. And I will see you on the interwebs or in real life sometime soon.